here today interviewing Giorgio Serafini, whom I've interviewed before from the NASDAQ, as a matter of fact. He is a world famous director, does productions in Europe and the US, and he is also the head of Sunchaser Entertainment, which is working on a couple of very exciting productions at the moment, and is also planning a reverse merger into a public company that will, of course, render the company public in the US by Q3. So, Giorgio, pleasure to have you join me today. And I'd like to start by talking about your two upcoming productions. Number one, of course, The Movers, which is starting production and filming, as a matter of fact, in May in Jackson, Mississippi. And then, of course, What Happens in Vegas Can Kill You, which basically is a project that's very close to my heart. I am, of course, executive producer on that project. What made you interested in these two productions, and what would you say they have in common, and how are they different as far as the viewing public is concerned?
Well, they're obviously, well, first of all, so nice to talk to you, Andrea. So they're obviously very different projects, because the first one is a supernatural thriller, that's The Movers. The second one is a true crime story with a very twisted, dark comedy touch. So they seem very different. The common thread is that they're both at the same time very original. I don't want to say the word artistic, but you know, they are projects that we really care of, and at the same time they should be, or at least they are created in order to become extremely commercial. So that's the combination. We have a tendency also for the future to set our attention mostly on true stories and possibly true crime stories, because we have, as you know, we have a TV series set in the Renaissance called The Rebel Queen, and then we have a true story, a true crime story set in Bocas del Toro, Panama, which is, once again, it has a very twisted touch, so that's the projects that we have right now, and we are very focused. The good thing about The Movers is that we start principal on May 15, so it's with Christopher Lloyd, Jenna Malone, and Tom Everett Scott, and it's going to be very, very fast. I mean, it's going to go fast, and that will launch the company.
That's very, very exciting. Absolutely. Well, obviously, you know, real life is much more, shall we say, inspirational for most people, but it is also much more complex than something that's made up. And obviously that's really what attracted you to these productions. And I think that's where the audience is going to really get involved, because it deals with some topics that most of us are dealing with right now. The Movers deals with isolation and, you know, people feeling that they're not really a part of a community or even of a certain reality anymore. Wouldn't you say so?
Absolutely, absolutely. Despite the fact that it has, despite of its supernatural setting, The Movers is a very contemporary look at our society today.
And likewise, you know, What Happens in Vegas Can Kill You. That's something that I know I brought to your attention, and you immediately embraced it, which I'm grateful for, because it does depict a real life murder mystery that's being played out in Las Vegas right now, and which has brought the FBI, to town. I think Vegas might be the only city in America that actually has billboards from the FBI asking people to call them with tips on corruption. And it talks about the $500 million Ponzi scheme that went on undisturbed for about 5 years and was being run by 2 attorneys, which is very surprising because, you hear about Ponzi schemes happening on Wall Street or involving major financial entities, but these were just 2 attorneys working through Wells Fargo and depositing up to $500 million in their accounts. And I believe there were over 600 individual complaints from people that were defrauded that went completely ignored. So the fact that something like this can happen now, like in the post-Bernie Madoff era, I think is what attracted some financial stars to this movie. And I think that's the surprise element in all this, if you want to delve into that a little bit further.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it is a film about finance, about a financial world. The difference and the originality is that it takes place in Vegas and instead of Wall Street. But yes, it is our goal to have a series of financial personalities involved into the film. So we are already in contact with some of them, but I think it's a little bit too early to give names unless you authorize it. But I think it's a little bit premature. But listen, the story is so amazing, and it has all the elements that make it at the same time a gripping thriller and a big spectacle. And but it's not only about a big scam. It's also about the victims and I don't want to say the people that like me, that believe in the possibilities and they get scammed in a horrible way. And by the way, that Ponzi schemes focus especially on Mormons investors. So yes. Most of them were Mormons, and 600 people who lost their savings and hoping to hit the jackpot. And it's just it's a sad story. Now, our film is going to be a very dark and witty comedy, so it has a different twist. But it's always great to start from a true story. I always find that extremely fascinating. And by the way, most of my projects, either as a writer-director or as a producer, are most of them based on true stories.
Well, in fact, we're working on an all-star cast. I know we have some favorites in mind, and I don't mind revealing some of those names. Rosamund Pike, Chris Rock, Stanley Tucci, Nicolas Cage, all big names, all names from, shall we say, the Generation X that is the one that's kind of at the heart of these financial crimes nowadays. I would say it's usually people over 40. It's usually people that have accumulated equity and or savings. And it seems that there are all kinds of people that are willing to take those assets from them. And as you know, this is a very personal topic for me as well. I'm not going to delve too much into it, but a lot of my viewers know me as a financial media personality and a conference organizer. And frankly, I never thought that I could get embroiled in something like that. I did not get embroiled in the Ponzi scheme. I think I know well enough not to do that after 30 years on Wall Street. But nevertheless, my family was targeted. We were targeted by some very crooked lawyers, also in Clark County, working in conjunction with certain public offices, which I'm not going to give away right now, but they're all over the news. And frankly, we're just emerging from a massive family tragedy. So I think that the public is going to see, something of what's going on maybe in their own community and their own reality that they can identify with. But at the end of the day, we're also going to keep it very entertaining. That's why the comic twist, sometimes the most tragic of consequences can have a very comical aspect on the exterior. And I think we're very excited about it. And we're planning to start pre-production shooting as early as October.
Exactly. So that's how we're going to start this company, Andreea, and can wait to talk about more projects and more products that we can put on the market. And I've been on this for 30 years, and I survived all kind of economical crisis and still doing it. So I know that there is a formula that most of the time really works in doing film, and that's what we are proposing, what we are offering to our investors.
It's wonderful. I'm very excited to be involved. Of course, we are working on the financing part, which is leading to the public merger for Sunchaser Entertainment. We'll be doing a series of webinars and, of course, keeping our public updated both through press releases and also through a brand new YouTube channel, which you will all receive a link to. And of course, we're looking forward to the media attention, because that's what this is all about. Sunchaser Entertainment and both movies, actually all three movies, will be presented at my Swiss Growth Forum Spring Investor Forum in Monaco and Milan, starting on May 17th. We're looking forward to having Class CNBC there, filming it as well. So this is going to get both European and US attention. And we look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. And we thank you for.
But Andreea, one little thing is that when you do your forum on May 17, I'll be on set, so we can maybe establish a connection. That will be fun.
Absolutely.
From the set.
Zoomed in, and hopefully we will have a celebrity spokesperson for you. You know who that is, and we'll reveal it soon enough. So
okay.
Really appreciate having everyone join us today, and sayonara from.
Thank you, Andreea. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.